Welcome to the latest edition of Beyond the Arc. I'm John Gonzalez alongside our NBA insider, Bill Ryder. We have so much basketball to get to, Bill. It was crazy last night. But before we do that, as is our custom here at Beyond the Arc, big Champions League day for Barcelona. I wish you and your team good luck.
Thank you. Fisca Barca, Paramount Plus, subscribe, watch, unless you're rooting for Inter Milan, then go away. Go somewhere else.
Then Paramount Plus is not for you, but otherwise check it out. All right, later in the show, the Knicks stole game one last night in Boston on an awful shooting night for the Celtics, Bill. We'll get into Warriors and Wolves. They get underway round two tonight. We'll do previews and predictions there. We might get to a preview and prediction for Pacers and Cavs. We might discuss the coach of the year, Kenny Atkinson. My suspicion is no, because the basketball from last night was absolutely wild. We're going to start with game one of Nuggets and Oklahoma City, Bill. The Nuggets stole game one. 121-119. Aaron Gordon had a game-winning three. It's a second game winner that he's had in these playoffs. That was the first lead they had since early in the first quarter, Bill. 48 hours after winning game seven against the Clippers, here come the Nuggets. So much for being tired. They win game one. They're now up 1-0. We have so much to get into on this, but just like your takeaway from that game last night.
Is 42, 22, and 6 good? Because I'm getting so used to this from Nikola Jokic. I'm not even sure it's just another day of the week that ends with day. I like my takeaway, and I really want your temperature on this whenever we get into it, because, and I know we're going to talk about Knicks Celtics as well. I'm curious if you think it's an anomaly that you basically had a dominant Thunder team that was the better team and then just gave away the game at the end. However you want to sort of parse that, they had control of the game and they lost. And for me, John, it raises up that specter again. And I don't know the answer. I'm not sure. I don't have a certainty here. But it raises up the specter that maybe Oklahoma City's lack of experience is a problem, or maybe just Nikola Jokic was amazing. Russell Westbrook brought the ball up the floor and Gordon hit a shot. It's so hard to sort of have a really certain reaction other than it was a great game. But in the back of my mind, it's all right. Those are the kind of games you're supposed to be able to close if you're the best team in your conference.
Yeah, before we get to Nikola Jokic, who absolutely had a ridiculous monster double-double, I was thinking about you last night in the fourth quarter when the Nuggets pulled that out, about how, there was this narrative about Oklahoma City, obviously the best team in the NBA during the regular season, and the Nuggets, it's Joker, and then like whatever he can cobble together with his supporting cast on any given night. But this team the Nuggets is only 2 years removed from winning a championship. They just came out of a Clippers series where the Clippers actually won, had a better point differential on aggregate, but the Nuggets figured out a way to win. They figured out a way to win close games. When Aaron Gordon threw down a dunk at the buzzer, they figured out how to win game seven. Now they come in and win game one. And yeah, there's some of that narrative there on the Nuggets know how to win these tight games, and Oklahoma City, at least last night, didn't. Let's go through what happened at the end of the fourth quarter. So if you missed it, Sam Quinn, our colleague at CBSSports.com, wrote a really good in-depth piece about what happened late in the fourth quarter and how many things had to break right for the Nuggets to win. So go and read that. But quickly here, Oklahoma City, they had a great block on Aaron Gordon, and then Caruso fouled Aaron Gordon with 10 seconds left. And some people were saying they shouldn't have fouled when they were up three, even though that's generally the correct strategy. However, Aaron Gordon made both. Now, Denver didn't have any timeouts. The shot clock was off. Joker was off the floor. That allowed them to get him back into the game. Chet Holmgren misses 2 free throws, Bill. And then with 9 seconds left, as you mentioned, they run the floor. Aaron Gordon is wide open on the wing for a three, and he cans it. And like that whole sequence there, people are really crushing Mark Dagnall, who was the reigning coach of the year until Kenny Atkinson won it today. I understand why they decided to just go with the default strategy of fouling up three, but that's a really good example of not all strategies fit all situations.
Can I quibble with this too a little bit with his approach? Because also they fouled so quickly. Why not just press it a little bit, right? I mean, it's not as if they're going to come up and shoot a three from half court, try to steal the ball, put a little pressure on them, see if you can get a turnover. We've seen some bad turnovers in this postseason because, right, there's nerves and there's pressure. So I understand the logic. I trust the coach. He knows what he's doing. There's a lot more that had to happen for the Thunder to have lost that game than just that end sequence. And, make your free throws too.
Make your free throws too. And I want to get into that. But first, Aaron Gordon, what a playoffs. that he's having.
my
I mean,
God.
I mentioned the dunk at the buzzer in the last round, and then this three tonight. He had 2 hero shots in 2 subsequent series, and so not surprisingly, after the game, David Adelman, the Nuggets coach, was asked about it, and here's what he had to say about Aaron Gordon's second game winner from these playoffs.
Aaron's going to be a hero again, but I'm also looking at 14 rebounds. I'm looking at 22 points. I'm looking at ball handling responsibilities, leadership. He is a Denver Nugget, man. Like he is the soul of our team. So cool to see him have 2 moments that no one will ever forget.
Bill, he's been awesome in this postseason.
Yeah, he's been amazing. You said at the start of the show, if someone, anyone, let alone a couple guys, can step up and supplement, augment the greatness of Jokic. I mean, John, we know this. We saw this a couple of years ago. Denver can beat anybody. And I want to sort of draw a line under this play. I don't know if you saw this, but I can't stop laughing. Somebody caught the Denver Nuggets television crew watching the final play on camera. Have you seen this? And Westbrook gets the ball and they scream, no, 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 because they think Westbrook's going to shoot. And they're screaming, no, no, no. And then he obviously passes the ball to Gordon. And yes. And it just also epitomizes, and you're right, Gordon's been amazing. Russell Westbrook, and we played this clip on the show yesterday, how he is very self-aware. He knows that he is a tornado of activity, and sometimes it's good, and sometimes it's bad. And I think the reality is, in the totality of this postseason, including yesterday, and a big part of the reason they're here is, I can't believe I'm saying these words, Russell Westbrook has accepted his role. Mm-hmm. He is not a main guy, but he is one of the mainly important people. So it's just Westbrook and Gordon at the end contributing to that win. The assist and the shot, I think it's just a reminder that while Michael Porter Jr. continues to vanish into the ether, and Jamal Murray was really inefficient, I thought not particularly impressive, if you just get a couple other guys to, as Adelman said, play the hero a little bit, Jokic is so good, you can beat anybody, and we saw it last night.
Yeah, I thought Christian Brown was pretty good last night. Russ was pretty good again last night. Jamal Murray started out hot and then faded away. But Aaron Gordon, I mean, you and I had singled this out. Okay, well, who's going to be the guy that could actually give you some consistency for the Nuggets aside from Nikola Jokic? And Aaron Gordon's scoring isn't always there, but in big moments this season, he's been fantastic for them. He's an excellent plus defender. His shooting has been better this year than it ever has been. He shot like 43% from 3, and he's been excellent from the line as well. And he made 2 big free throws late, and then he hit the game winner. And it's just like, back to your point about finding ways to win, Aaron Gordon is a key piece there. You heard David Adelman talk about Aaron Gordon just being a nugget, and like, you know, I was looking at his points and his rebounds, and, you know, he comes up big late. Like, the Nuggets just have this muscle memory on, big moment here. It doesn't mean that they're going to win this series. Doesn't mean that they're going to advance to the Western Conference Finals, but having been playoff tested, I think is really important. I want to play one more David Adelman bite for you from the post-game locker room scene last night on just finding a way to win.
Hey, real quick, I mean this. You don't always play your best when you win, and we can play better than that. But what I loved about this man today, the mentality of how you play. Every time out I sat down, I knew that you knew the game was not over. We have a chance. There's a situation. Something that can happen here. Turn the tide. And a lot of guys stepped up, man. A lot of guys. And you played for each other. And when you do that, you give yourself a chance. Crazy happens in the playoffs when you just stick to it. Stay together. All right? Newsflash. It's only one game. You're ready to roll for game 2.
Newsflash, Bill. Pretty good.
I can't watch that clip or these games without having a flashback to the very end of Dodgeball and thinking of Michael Malone somewhere throwing something at the television and swearing, you know. I mean, look, I don't want to – this isn't an Adelman segment, but you saw Nikola Jokic, I'm sure, like being adamant. I've never seen it like screaming at his guys on the sideline, basically coaching the team, and nothing against Adelman, but it's all Jokic. I mean, yeah, Gordon hit the shot. We can talk about it. Great. He was awesome. He is awesome. Westbrook had a nice game. Brown had a nice game. None of it matters if Jokic doesn't just single-handedly continue to keep them in the game, keep fighting, literally screaming at them on the sidelines. I mean, it is unbelievable how talented this guy is. And I keep thinking I'm beyond being shocked and wowed by Nikola Jokic. And then he goes out there and he shocks me and he wows me again. I know he didn't hit the winning shot, but he was the winning basketball player on that floor. And as much as like Gordon was really, really good, the difference for me was the best player on the face of the earth had another one of these historically ridiculous playoff games that for him is just another consistent reminder that the guys made. Jokic is so good. I know he wasn't single-handed, but that was the story of one team that had the best player on earth and some help, and another really good team that's the best in the NBA, and it's this individual who won.
That's how wild last night's game was, that we are just now getting to Nikola Jokic went for 42 and 22. And I think that this bears a little bit more examination. So let's take a quick break. And on the other side, we'll discuss Nikola Jokic having the supreme effort last night. Oklahoma City losing one at home when SGA was pretty good as well. And by the way, just to talk about the whole David Adelman thing, Bill, I just want you just think about this as we go to break now. Was firing the coach and the general manager good? I'm just throwing that out there. We'll discuss it on the other side. This is Beyond the Arc on CBS Sports Network. It might have been good. All right, welcome back to Beyond the Arc. A reminder, you can get us wherever you find your favorite podcast. Please download, subscribe, and leave a review. Continuing the conversation about last night's thrilling Nuggets victory. Bill, the Thunder were heavy favorites coming into this series, and we saw last night a reminder why it's not necessarily their series just like going away here, because Jokic goes for 42, 22, and 6. We're going to get the MVP verdict at some point during this series. It's everybody suspects that it will be SGA. He's the front runner here. But Joker last night, yet another reminder. I mean, and this is not an indictment of SGA. He had a really good night. He went for what, 33-point almost triple-double?
Yeah, had a great fourth quarter, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, he was fantastic. But on nights like that, when Nikola Jokic is willing his team to victory, you said it correctly. He didn't hit the game-winning shot, but he's the reason why they won. Because without that superhero effort from him, they're not even close to winning that game.
Yeah, no, I mean, so look, guys, we discuss this a lot. I voted for Jokic. I actually feel better about it the more that time has gone on. And it's a regular season award. It's not a postseason award. Whatever. Every postseason, you either feel good or bad about sort of where you came down on that argument based on how guys do. And he was so good. And the thing that I think is really striking about his impact is his team isn't that good. His team didn't suddenly get good. That Thunder team, I thought to the eye test, especially for the first 3.5 quarters, really for the first 4 quarters, was clearly the better team, John. They were up Oklahoma City. They were up 9 with 3 minutes and 2 seconds left. They were up 6 with 2 minutes and 3 or 4 seconds left. And SGA played well. It's not as if SGA was 9 of 33, or he wasn't Donovan Mitchell in game 1 of 11 from 3. It's just Jokic is so good, and I'm going to keep saying this, the way that he infuses his guys with so much confidence, whatever they did in the regular season, I think those dudes walk out for the Nuggets, and they think they're going to win every game. And as he was bringing them back and hitting shots and backing guys down and hitting some floaters, I remember thinking they're going to win. There's this sense of inevitability with Jokic that may not always come to fruition, but it's there, and I think it had a huge impact on that game last night.
You know what? I didn't think that they were going to win. I thought that he had a supreme effort, an individual effort. I thought Oklahoma City, as you mentioned, for much of the game, if not all of it up until the very end when, there was some coaching strategy issues with Dagnall, and then all of a sudden Gordon hits that 3. They were fantastic last night. Bill, that defense was ferocious. They forced 18 turnovers. They had 23 points off those turnovers. They had 12 steals. The rim protection was there. They had 11 blocks. SGA had a double-double, almost a triple-double. Alex Caruso, who's their best defender, also had 20 points. Bill, he had 5 steals and 2 blocks.
Caruso game.
I mean, Chet Holmgren missing those free throws at the end. This all just comes back to you did what you wanted to do. Your defense looked really good. Your main player was fantastic, and still you lost to the other team that was led by a veteran who's won 3 of the last 4 MVPs. And that would just give me, I would be in my head if I was OKC.
You should be, because that's all fine on paper. Everything you just described, the actual game yesterday is the argument on paper. The numbers say Oklahoma City should have won. And the reality is that blowing a 9-point lead with not very much time left is more about the team that has the lead than it is the team coming back. And yeah, there were some missed free throws that were a part of that, but if the Thunder didn't already have a disadvantage because of their lack of playoff experience, and I think they do have a disadvantage, right? I'm obviously on team that matters, and they can still win this series, but I think that there's a bigger lift, a heavier lift than I think most prognosticators expected. If that wasn't already a factor, their lack of playoff experience, to your point, it is now, because it is in their head. And they did play, I mean, they not a perfect game, but they almost played a perfect basketball game until the last 2.5, 3 minutes, and they still lost the basketball game.
You know, it's hard to say that the defense was outstanding for Oklahoma City when they lose the basketball game and Jokic goes for just an absolutely ridiculous double-double, but they did play well defensively. Now, I do have some concerns about, and this is true of every team that has to face Nikola Jokic. They don't, despite the fact that they have Isaiah Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren, there's no good matchup there. Okay, you put that to the side and you go into the series just knowing that that's going to be a problem for you. Everywhere else defensively, I thought that they were really good. And then Chet Holmgren, he was in foul trouble and he goes to the free throw line. The pressure, this whole thing about finding ways to win. He's at the free throw line. If he makes 2, they have a really good shot to win this game. Instead, he doesn't even make 1. He misses both, and they end up losing the game. And like, you're a young player, the bright lights on you. It's the playoffs. Everybody's paying attention. You're playing against the reigning MVP. I just think the moment was really big for Chet in that moment, and maybe for the team writ large. And, you know, maybe they learn from it. I don't know. And I'm not saying that Denver's going to win the series. I picked Oklahoma City. They're the better team, but I would be concerned.
Yeah. Long series. We just saw the Warriors almost blow a 3-1 series lead. You and I have covered multiple 3-1. I mean, these things change. The Milwaukee Bucks, if I'm doing this right by memory, when they won an NBA championship, I think they got down 2-0 to the Suns in that finals, right? And it was like, oh, here comes Chris Paul. He's finally going to get his title. These things shift and they change, but I feel bad for Chet Holmgren because he is now the avatar of a reality that I think is true for the entire Thunder team. And I would argue, I think you'd agree, he's their second best player. Look, they have a lot of great players, so you could sort of pick your poison after SGA, but the Thunder are expected to win an NBA championship this year. That is the expectation. And they're certainly expected to make the finals and compete against whatever, Boston or whoever's there. And if you're Holmgren and you're starting to blow this game and they're starting to come back and it's getting tight and you have those, to your point, those free throws, you're carrying the weight of all of the expectation. It's not just a random playoff game like even last year. This is a different Thunder team in terms of, I think, what we all think they're going to do. And it was Chet this time who couldn't handle the pressure. But it might be somebody else next time, because every time there's a close game, every time you got to hit a shot to win it or not lose it, every time there's a free throw, every time, and I don't know that the Nuggets will be good enough at this, but you start to force a bunch of turnovers and you start to get nervous. The Thunder now have to carry the weight of what they're supposed to do with a group of guys who have largely never done it before. And maybe they'll overcome it, but I don't know. Last night might have been the start of just a pattern here, because it is a lot to carry for a young team.
I want to see how they respond after this for sure. Last thing for you before we go to break, and I posed it as we were coming in from the last break. Were the Cronkies right? The Cronkies aren't the most beloved owners.
No, I heard you tease this.
But the idea, I mean, they fired Mike Malone, they fire Calvin Booth, and like David Adelman is Mr. Play the hot hand, and he's just like going with vibes and all this. But like so far through the playoffs, Bill, this team has, like, I'm not going to say that they've been playing better, because I think that this is sort of their style, but like the vibes around this team and just figuring out, like, okay, here's who we have to have on the floor right now because this person is playing well and MPJ is not, and we're not going to force MPJ down anybody's throat. We're going to put him to the side. And hey, Nikola Jokic is going to kind of be our coach. It's also fine. I'm just saying it's worked out so far.
It's all Jokic. I mean, it's just like, was Jerry Krause a master GM in the 90s of the Bulls? No, the poor guy was not. There was this guy named Michael Jordan. I hear what you're saying, and the vibes are great. And look, Malone might have overstayed his welcome a little bit, but it's not as if he was playing Michael Porter Jr. all the minutes. And there was lots of I mean, I'm not a Nuggets reporter, but there was lots of credible reporting that one of the schisms between Booth and Malone was playing Westbrook too much and relying on Westbrook. Well, you know what's happening right now? The current coach is relying on Westbrook. I don't know. I think that Nikola Jokic is a god among men on the basketball floor, and I could coach this team. You could coach this team. Anybody could coach this team, and I think on nights like last night, the Nuggets are probably going to win.
Well, unless they steer this thing off a cliff right into a ditch, I think David Adelman has secured his job. So congratulations to him on soon having that interim tag removed. All right, let's take a quick break. And then on the other side, another crazy game last night. The Knicks and the Celtics. The Knicks end up stealing one in Boston. But we'll get into, Bill, why that game, despite the victory, maybe doesn't signal great things for the Knicks. We'll do that on the other side. This is Beyond the Arc on CBS Sports Network. All right, welcome back to Beyond the Arc. The other game from last night, an overtime thriller. The Knicks steal one in Boston, Bill, 108-105. The Celtics blew a 20-point lead. It's the biggest playoff comeback in Knicks history. It's also the first Knicks win over the Celtics this season. Celtics had beaten them 4-0, four games out of 4 in the regular season. My takeaway from this is Mikal Bridges was a hero in overtime. He had 2 steals, a block, and a 3, including the steal on Jaylen Brown at the end. But we can get into this in a little bit in terms of the shooting numbers. The Knicks won the game. Congratulations. But I think that this was much more the Celtics losing this game, and the numbers in this game, despite the fact that they lost it, super favoring the Celtics.
Well, I think we should get into it now because I think that is the story of the game. And I mean, you and I spent too much time together because you teased heading into this segment. What my exact takeaway is, if you take 63s and you make 15 of them and you lose by 3 points, the other team has a major problem. And I know that like we are based out of New York City. I mean, we're doing this through Florida right now, but we have a New York City operation. And so there's a lot of Knicks fans who work at the company. John, I guess we can praise the Knicks, right? Jalen Brunson was amazing. Well-deserved to be clutch player of the year. Bridges and Anunoby were incredible perimeter defenders. This is what they were brought in to do. And obviously Bridges for all those picks this past offseason. They held Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum to a combined 14 of 43. Jason, and it didn't matter last year, but Tatum's playoff struggles continue. This is a real thing. We're talking sample size going back, and last year it didn't matter. So there's lots of things the Knicks did really well. They got contributions from all over the place, and it was impressive. But there is in the background I just don't think that the Celtics are going to shoot 25% from the three-point line over the course of the series. And if that's your strategy, you might be in trouble.
Yeah. Okay. So the Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown thing, they were not efficient last night at all. They combined for 14 for 43 shooting. But the idea that like the Knicks held them to anything made me laugh. So I was on HQ last night with Joe Musso, and he was trying to get me to say nice things about the Knicks. And Knicks fans came after me on social media. And I'm like, listen, I would love to tell you that this was about the Knicks winning this game, but I'm sorry, the Celtics got every shot they wanted last night. Now, some of them were ill-advised. For example, at the end of the fourth quarter, when Jason Tatum took a step back 25-footer when the score was tied with 9 seconds left. Look, you took 63s, maybe take 59, and that shot should have been Jason Tatum going to the rack, right? These things are not mutually exclusive.
Many shots should have been going to the rack. There was so much space in the paint the whole game.
100%. So like but they have the Celtics have a theory of the case, and we're going to get to this in a second here, but they shot 63s last night, right? And like for me, my takeaway is the Knicks offered them zero resistance. In the previous series, the Orlando Magic knew what the Boston Celtics wanted to do. Everybody knows during the regular season, they took the most threes, they made the most threes. They averaged 48. Last night, they took 60. The Orlando Magic said, look, we have no shot to beat them unless we slow them down on the perimeter. They still lost, but at least they had a game plan. The Knicks last night, their game plan, Bill, as far as I could tell, was do whatever you want. I'm not sure that that's going to work out over a 7-game series.
Oh, I think you're being unkind. I thought Bridges and Anunoby had some moments where they made it hard on him. And I mean, some of those threes I thought were desperation, one pass, jack it up immediately, don't move the ball, don't get in rhythm. I don't know. I would give the Knicks a little more credit than I think you are. And I think where we're aligned is there's zero chance that there's a very small chance the Boston Celtics are shooting 25% from deep this year. And what's interesting is in the Orlando series, I know Orlando's a different level of competitor. They're not the same challenger as the Knicks. They're not. But the Magic held this Celtics team to 31 three-point shots a game. A very low mark. I mean, fewer than any other team on average over the regular season. And the Celtics were just fine. So it's, to your point, the theory of taking a lot of threes is great. Maybe just adjust it a little, turn the meter down a little bit on the how many and up a little bit on how the quality of the shot.
Yeah, I would have liked to see Jason Tatum try to take it to the rack at the end of the fourth quarter. But on the whole, I understood what the Celtics were trying to do. And that's why after the game, Joe Mazzulla was asked about their shot selection. And I think Knicks fans and other people who were just like sort of casually watching this game were a little surprised that Joe Mazzulla was completely fine with what happened last night. Here's what he said.
Yeah, I mean, I think for the most part, obviously, over the course of the game, you always can find, 5-10 shots that you want to be better at. But, I thought throughout the night, for the most part, we fought for good looks, throughout the game. But, yeah, I mean, you can find 5 to 10 that we could be better at.
I think that's the right takeaway, Bill. 5 to 10 shots that you could be better at. Can I give you my Ant-Man baby theory? Yeah, it is. Yeah. They shot 63s last night. But can I give you my Ant-Man baby theory on this? Okay.
Please do.
And this isn't Ant-Man from the Wolves. This is Ant-Man from Endgame. I'm so very sorry that I'm about to do this for everybody watching at home, for Bill and everybody in the control room, but I'm going to plow forward on this. So in Endgame, they're trying to figure out time travel, and they don't have Tony Stark's big brain, so instead they use the Hulk, and the Hulk sends Ant-Man, played by the inimitable Paul Rudd, back in time, and he turns him into a baby. And when he comes back, everybody's like, oh no, you turned Paul Rudd into a baby. But the Hulk goes, I see this as a win. That's what I think Joe Mazzulla was saying last night. Look, we got some rough edges to sand down on this thing, but it's an absolute win for them that they could even get up 63s.
Look, it is absolutely a bad sign for the Knicks that you won by 3 points barely in overtime when your opponent missed 45 3-point shots, and the two star players of understandably a fairly deep Boston team, but whatever, were 14 of 43 from. I mean, normally when Jason Tatum shoots poorly, I'm not playing poorly, shooting poorly for Tatum, I think, are different things. Normally when Tatum shoots poorly, which by the way has been the last several playoff runs. He's shooting 41% from the field, I think, in this postseason, and 33% from three. When that happens, usually Jaylen Brown steps up, and he just didn't. And so all of that adds up to me. I don't want to overreact to any of the weird oddities of all three road teams in the second round have won their first game. It's sort of weird. But if I'm not, but like the team I'm definitely not going to overreact is the Knicks. The Knicks are not favorites now. Good win, nice job. To your point, if you allow 10 fewer shots, if you allow 50 good three or better three, I mean, you're going to lose. You're going to lose by 15.
If they shoot the Celtics one, so they missed 45. If they make one of those other 45, they tie the game. If they make two of those other 45, they win the game. And also on a night when the Knicks were absolutely horrendous from the free throw line. I'm glad you brought up the weird oddity of those three teams, the best three teams in basketball, losing game one, because it is something that like people have flagged, and I wanted to bring it up to you. So Oklahoma City lost their first game at home. Boston lost their first game at home of the second round. And the Cavaliers, who now going into game two tonight might not have three critical players, they lost game one at home. Yeah. I'm with you that I think that of those three, I'm the least concerned about the Celtics. I just think that the numbers and the math are going to eventually win out for them. Oklahoma City might have a fight on their hands. Cleveland is the one I'm the most worried about here, Bill, because Darius Garland's got a toe injury. Who knows if he's going to be available? Evan Mobley and DeAndre Hunter look like they might not be available. This could be a bad situation for the Cavs.
I'm going to give you my underreaction and then my overreaction to the same sort of 3-game series events. Here it is. Underreaction. The Celtics are fine in this series, right? This series is not over. It's not Knicks dominance. Overreaction. Congratulations on the Indiana Pacers making the 2025 NBA Finals, because I am kind of worried about Jason Tatum, and I am sort of it's hard. We haven't seen a repeat NBA champion in several years. It's been a really long time, and so I think the Pacers are actually, look. It's a long series, and I was having trouble on HQ later today on CBS Sports HQ. They asked me who I'm going to take, and I took the Cavs, and I'm still thinking about changing my answer because they are banged up. They are hurt. The Pacers are playing free. And Indiana has this really interesting approach under Rick Carlisle, because the other question was, who's the second most important player after Tyrese Halliburton? And the actual answer is it doesn't matter. It's whoever's playing well, because they'll play 10 or 11 guys. So the Pacers are a really sneaky team, and the Cavs are not in a good spot right now.
The Pacers are a sneaky team. The Cavs are not in a good spot. I think it's important what you mentioned about Jason Tatum too, about like his playoff heroics where he's like, he tries to take over a game and decides to go hero ball. And what do you think it is about Tatum they overcame it last year. He didn't shoot the ball well, but they ended up winning the championship. And I thought that he was good in the finals, and he ends up winning MVP, or not winning MVP, but he could have been MVP behind Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah. But last night, Bill, the step back 25-footer, like in that instance, when you're going to finish, this guy is going to be number 4 in the MVP race. He's going to make first team All NBA again. Why not just assert yourself? And the game plan is the game plan on the whole, which is obviously like they're going to get up as many threes as they possibly can. But in those instances where situational basketball matters and you don't want to go to overtime, and as you said, the lane was wide open. Take somebody off the dribble. You're actually really good at it. It's almost becoming a mental block with him sometimes.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, not every player is the same player in the playoffs. Most players aren't. And some players are much better. Anthony Edwards, Ant comes to mind, and he's amazing already in the regular season, but he levels up. And then there's James Harden. And then there's these sort of difficult, I think, examples in between that aren't as easy to peg. And I'm not sure what my confidence level is in Jason Tatum. And last year, after the finals, to your point about him not winning finals MVP, we had a conversation, and I think NBA sort of media fans, NBA Twitter writ large had this conversation about whether or not failing to get respect in the actual MVP voting last year, and then Jaylen Brown winning the finals MVP over him, whether that would impact the team and make him go more hero ball and all of those things. And that sort of faded because the Celtics have been good. But the real time to test that theory is now. The real time to see whether or not Jason Tatum is going to be impacted by some of those things is actually the playoffs, right? And so that shot that you're talking about, that ill-advised step back, what are you doing? It's sample size of 1. It's not definitive, but it did make me worry, man, if Tatum isn't comfortable being an NBA champion the way that he was last year, which is maybe not with the accolades that he thinks he deserves or does deserve, and he presses. If you press in this system where you're taking a million threes, a team can beat you. A team could. Part of what makes Boston really good is that they will rely on who the right person is in the moment, and they don't play this hero ball approach. And if that changes for Tatum, I think that's a problem for the Celtics.
Well, my Celtics fan friends lost their minds at that shot, and we're on a thread together, and they just were not happy about it. I also have a bunch of Knicks fan friends who, while we're trashing players from last night's game, Bill, this is just all negative for me, and I don't care. That's how I saw the game. Karl Anthony Towns, who we have had long conversations about on this podcast. I thought he had a really good regular season, especially offensively, but there are moments when he's disappeared in this postseason. Last night did not exactly cover himself in glory. He went for 14 and 13, Bill, but he got into early foul trouble. This is something, if I were the Knicks, in addition to trying to defend the Celtics and slow them down from the 3-point line, a little bit worried about Cat, who he is generally, foul trouble is something that he gets into at times, right? This is something that frustrated Anthony Edwards when he played alongside Karl Anthony Towns. He was in early foul trouble last night. He didn't play the last, 9:46 of the second quarter, which forced them to go to Mitchell Robinson, which then led to Hack-a Mitch, which then led Tom Thibodeau, who was loath to play anyone on his bench, dusting off Precious Achiuwa, who hadn't played in the playoffs to that point, Bill. My whole point here is that, yes, OG was good. Yes, in overtime, Mikal Bridges was fantastic, and Jalen Brunson is always going to give you a supreme effort. Karl Anthony Towns is the guy that needs to be consistent and be on the floor if they have any shot of actually challenging the Celtics.
It's a great point. And the Karl Anthony Towns concern, the fact that, by the way, we haven't brought this up yet, that Bridges played 51 minutes of the 53 available minutes. The fact that the Celtics couldn't shoot, right? Just couldn't hit open shots, couldn't hit any shots. The fact that Jason Tatum continues to struggle in the playoffs. I want to lean into your negativity toward your Knicks and Celtics fans. As fun as that game was last night, and it was riveting, it was exciting, it was awesome, and it was as huge as it is for the Knicks. And by the way, Knicks fans, there's no team in the NBA I want to win more than you. My dream, my bucket list is to cover the NBA Finals at the Garden. It is my absolute one professional goal. I'm rooting for you every single night, even if I don't believe in it. Put all that aside, I think it's negatives for Boston and New York. That was my takeaway. I know somebody won, and it was a really fun game for us neutrals and a really fun game for Knicks fans. I think there's a lot to worry about if you're New York and if you're Boston based on those performances.
This is why, and I think sometimes rightly so, people dislike the media because we just did a whole block on why the win was bad for New York. So congratulations, Knicks fans. We're gonna. I'm sorry, it wasn't a great game. It was a fun game to watch, very entertaining. All right, we're gonna take a quick break, and then on the other side, a series that I am super excited for tips off tonight. Warriors and Wolves. We'll preview that and give predictions on the other side. This is Beyond the Arc on CBS Sports Network. Welcome back to Beyond the Arc. A reminder, you can find us on YouTube at Beyond the Arc CBS. Please hit the like button, leave a comment, subscribe, the bell symbol. Click on that. You'll get notified when we go live. We're going to be live tonight, right after the series we're going to talk about right now. Warriors and Wolves, come and join us on YouTube. Bill, 7 seed versus a 6 seed. It's only the third time in NBA history that this has happened. I could not be more excited for this series. This is the one that I was most looking forward to.
It's the one I'm most looking forward to, and it's the one that I find most perplexing. Although I'm not sure it matters whether I find things perplexing or not, because I didn't pick either the 3 previous game ones properly since the road teams all won. I'm with you, and Anthony Edwards. There's a lot more to it than just 2 guys, but Anthony Edwards versus Steph Curry is really, really exciting. And I mean, we've already talked Thunder and sort of whether or not there's going to be a more difficult road because of their lack of experience. I know we're going to predict this series. I don't know who I think is going to win this series. I'll give you a prediction, but I don't know. I do think the winner of this series, I will certainly take over the Thunder when we get to the conference finals. So that's what it is. That's how excited I am about the series.
That's interesting. I mean, the Wolves have really made me a believer, Bill. I was on the Warriors after the Jimmy Butler trade because they looked fantastic and they could absolutely win the series. But the Wolves, last year was my year for being on the Wolves. This year, though, they were like latecomers, late breakers in the second half where they really started to figure it out. They had a really slow start to the season. Julius Randle looked horrendous. You and I and Sam Quinn were clamoring to bring him off the bench. It turned out after the All-Star break that he kind of changed the way that he was playing. He was a little less selfish. He was a little bit more of a distributor. He was less of a negative on the defensive end. And now all of a sudden that whole first unit with him and Ant and Rudy Gobert has looked pretty good. Dante DiVincenzo has been better. Jaden McDaniels really took a step forward offensively. I'm a believer in the Wolves. Nobody believed in the Wolves in the last round. I was one of them. And they really surprised me and impressed me by beating the Lakers in 5. And you had Anthony Edwards going out into the streets of LA after they won that.
That was awesome.
Crowing about, hey, it was awesome. And rightly so. He deserved that. He deserved to crow a little bit and peacock a little bit because there were, sometimes it's very much a cliche in sports to go, nobody believed in us. I don't think anybody outside of you and Minnesota believed in the Wolves.
And there was reasons not to believe. I mean, the Julius Randle factor, and you and I were trying to trade him and have him. We were benching him. We were just bench the guy when he's back. He unequivocally entering this playoff series was a terrible playoff basketball player. I mean, his shooting percentage, his performances were historically poor. He's been really good. I mean, everything has clicked in exactly the right way. And the other thing I think that maybe was a residual doubt for people, maybe a little bit for me, I thought Anthony Edwards was that guy. I thought Anthony Edwards was good enough to go out there and be a legend slayer because we saw a little bit of it last year and be the best player on the floor every night or many nights, even when you're going up against, insert whatever great player. It was Jokic last year, LeBron this year, Luka this year. But I wasn't sure. One playoff run, which was last year's playoff run of the conference finals for Anthony Edwards, is not enough of a sample size to be absolutely certain you're that guy. Trae Young's not that guy. I mean, Trae Young's a nice player at times, but just because you make a conference finals doesn't mean that you're the next great thing in the NBA or the next great winner in the playoff Jimmy and then playoff whoever's next. Doesn't happen, isn't certain because of one run. I'm sure now. I'm certain now that Anthony Edwards is that guy, and that it's part of what makes it complicated because if you made a list, if you power ranked all the players who were left, who I would want on my team in the last game of a decisive playoff game, I mean, Jokic is higher, maybe Steph's higher, but I think Anthony Edwards is probably in the top 3 on that list for me.
I'm with you that Ant has really taken that step and put his hand up as one of the great players. And if you look at the matchup here, the betting odds are super tight. The Warriors, Bill, have been playing excellent basketball since getting Jimmy Butler. So at least on top line talent, you go, okay, you got Ant over here, but then over here you have Steph and Jimmy. Here's my thing, though. In the same way that the Lakers had problems with the Wolves' size in the first round, I was going through this. I'm like, okay, who's going to guard Ant? okay, Jimmy, right? But Jimmy and who? You got to figure that out. All right, well, now if Jimmy's on Ant, who's going to guard Julius Randle? Well, I guess you'd think Draymond, except for Draymond is going to probably be on Rudy for a while. Okay, right. So if you got Draymond on Gobert, who's guarding Julius Randle? And, oh, by the way, who's going to take on Jaden McDaniels and Naz Reid and Dante DiVincenzo? Like, I think that the Warriors have some real matchup issues here, and I don't know how they're going to solve them necessarily.
So I think that in terms of tactical flexibility, and I hadn't thought of this until this series for the same reason, Minnesota has a lot of options that they can throw at you, a lot of guys and a lot of rotations, a lot of approaches, and Golden State doesn't have the same flexibility defensively. They just don't. And I think you're absolutely right. The Lakers were really small, and some of that was a product of how the Lakers were constructed on the fly because they got Luka in a shocker, and part of the AD had to go to bring Luka in, so you don't have a big man. You're not going to play Jackson Hayes, but this is how the Warriors are constructed. I mean, this is just sort of how they're this is part of the plan, right? This is what they're supposed to look like. I'm with you. And so if Minnesota dominates on the rebounding side, dominates on offensive rebounding, is able to utilize some of their flexibility to get matchup advantages again and again and again, it's hard for me to bet against Steph Curry. I'm just muscle memory not to do that.
I know.
But I'm with you that I think there's a lot of Minnesota advantages.
It's tough. Wolves minus 178 to win the series. Golden State plus 150. I was going back and forth. Initially, I was leaning Warriors. I'll let you go first. Prediction time. Who you got?
Here's my stupid hedge, but it's what I think. I took the Warriors to make the finals when we started this whole thing, when they were still in the play-in. And normally I would just take the Warrior, but I'm going to adjust. I actually think Minnesota is the better basketball team, and having sort of thought more thoroughly about the actual matchups that we discussed, I'm going to go Timberwolves, and I'll do the cop-out thing. I haven't done it in 7 games in 5 years. I'll do Minnesota in 7, which means I don't know. No. That's my line. If you say in 7, it means you don't know.
I'm about to do mine like no. I just got drafted and they handed me a hat. Bill, I'm reclaiming the Wolves. I am also taking the Wolves in 7, which means that you and I have had the exact same teams and this exact same games in terms of our picks for all 4 second-round series. We'll see how that plays out. We're going to take another break, and then on the other side, we'll discuss the other game for tonight, Pacers and the Cavaliers. That's coming up. This is Beyond the Arc on CBS Sports Network. All right, welcome back to Beyond the Arc. The other game tonight, game 2 between the Pacers and the Cavs. We already discussed how the Cavs are in, their backs are a little bit up against it here, Bill. No Darius Garland, well, in game 1, probably not again tonight. And then there's serious concern about Evan Mobley and DeAndre Hunter also being out. You lose the first 2 at home. That's dangerous stuff, especially when they came in as heavy favorites. We discussed all that. Well, we did not discuss, Bill, that I really want to run past you because I feel like it will be in your wheelhouse, is Tyrese Halliburton's been really good. He was good in game 1 again. But John Halliburton, his father, has been prevented from joining in this series. After the first round against the Bucks, he ended up in like a little altercation with Giannis. And I was kind of bummed that John Halliburton didn't get to be in Cleveland for game 1. I say free John Halliburton.
Yeah, we're not aligned on this. I feel like if you make Giannis that man, because Giannis is a pretty chill, down to earth, likable guy, you should be banned. But I like you stirring the pot. I respect it.
I feel like the punishment doesn't necessarily fit the crime. Yeah, he was mouthing Giannis, and he probably shouldn't have done that. But we're really going to ban him for the rest of the postseason?
Just ban him from the floor. I mean, just give him a ticket and don't give him the pass that actually gets you on the floor, and it's an easy solution.
See, this is what I'm talking about. Who do you got tonight, quickly?
I do this. I think I'm going to take Pacers. I think I'm going to switch it and go Pacers. Is that correct? Just because of the injuries for Cleveland.
The injuries for Cleveland are a serious problem, and I hate this, but I'm also going Pacers. So now you and I have picked everything alike, and it's probably likely to go terribly. That's going to do it for us today. We'll see how our picks go. That's going to do it for us today. Bill and I will be back tonight right after Warriors and Wolves Game 1 on YouTube. Come and find us over there at Beyond the Arc CBS. But for now, for our NBA insider, Bill Ryder, I'm John Gonzalez. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you tonight.